Hello my family. Today's video is about a topic that I wished I could find out there in this world of the internet. But before I do, I'm also creating a meal, and a full meal for me and hubby tonight, which I am going to work on a little bit with you. And plus we are actually going to have some coffee time, because I'm thinking this might help somebody else as well. So we're actually going to have some barbecued pork ribs. I don't eat pork a whole lot anymore, but hubby would want them, and so it's been a while since I had any of that, so I'm going to go ahead and incorporate that tonight. Only I'm not going to use my oven, I'm not going to use the grill. I'm going to try something I ain't never done, and that is using our air frying oven. So I've seen that it can be done, so I'm going to try it and see what happens. And in the meantime, there's not a lot that folks know that you can actually have some barbecue rubs, and I have a sugar-free version. Again, like all the descriptions or all the recipes, it'll be in the description box, but I will divide it in the recipe made for no sugar with sugar substitute, and in the parentheses this time will be for those who don't have to worry about sugar. So I will accommodate both in this recipe. I am going to make this rub up. We're going to set and cure my roast, or my ribs actually. I'm going to coat them, and then I'm going to set them up in the refrigerator while we come back and talk again, because I do have a topic that I think is vitally important based by my experience in the last 3 months, and I'll get into that. First, let's go in the kitchen and make our rub so I can get my ribs marinating. Okay, so we're first going to make up our no sugar rub. I've not tried this one before. There was one that I tried, and it just, to me, it was just kind of not exactly right. This one is kind of a sweeter, kind of spice mixed. I wouldn't say too much about being super spicy. You can always change this. I am actually going to be kicking mine up just a notch, so by adding some garlic to it. What we're going to do for the sweet part, again, this is a recipe that can go both ways. I am going to be using a brown sugar. However, for those with sugar restrictions like my husband, I'm going to be using the Swerve brand sugar replacement brown sugar. So I need a 1/4 cup of that. This recipe will be able to cover the whole rib that I have. A hubby found a baby back rib on sale, so we're going to try it with that one. So I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of the Swerve brown sugar. If I can get this package open. And you kind of want to pack it. So I have found this way it doesn't leave the meat tasting funky either. So, because sometimes some of these sugars, especially these flavored ones like this, they can tend to taste a bit different. But the rubs, I will admit, they don't do that. Alright, so there's my 1/4 cup of this. I want to make sure I get all my sugar sweetener in that. I'm going to need 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. Now, I don't know about, I will tell you what I am going to be adding to make this a complete meal for you, because today we're going to be doing coffee time basically, and then I'm showing you this barbecue rub, giving you this recipe, showing you how I'm going to marinate it, and then just explain to you what I'm going to do with this meal, because I don't think I'm going to have, this one is going to take several hours to make. So, and I don't have a good editor yet to be able to spread this out for you. So but at least I'd be able to explain to you. And for those who don't know, what can I have? I will give you what I am fixing to make this a complete meal for us. I need, at this point, again, I need now 1 tablespoon of chili powder. Some say this is where the spice comes in. I honestly don't really find heat or spice coming from chili powder, but I guess some people are kind of sensitive to this. So you use your discretion on the amount you want to use. And if you don't want to use it, you can eliminate it. I need 2 teaspoons of ground black pepper. I need 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika. Now, this stuff is good, y'all. Smoked paprika makes any barbecue taste good. And then I need 2 teaspoons of onion powder, which I am using, again, my homemade. I'm going to also now add 2 teaspoons of garlic powder to this. I think garlic goes well with rubs. So, and this is my homemade version, so it's kind of got some strong flavor to it. Move this out of the way. And let's see, I am going to add 1 teaspoon of ground mustard. And 1 teaspoon of turmeric. And that's our rub. So, and like I said, I haven't tried this. I am about to try it, but I've tried other ingredients that were like this, and they were really good. I pretty much know the flavor mixture as they go together, so I can almost taste what it's like. I'm going to go ahead and say that this one for us was really good, and so I'm going to use it. Now I'm going to mix this really well. The brown sugar, I'm noticing, is kind of different compared to regular. It seems to have a little bit more moisture, so I've got to really mix this up good. And I will have some left over from this, and I will jar it up. So what I'm going to do right now is divide this in half, use part of this for my ribs, and I'm going to set it up so I can show you how I do our ribs, and then before they go into at least in the refrigerator for a half hour to an hour. So I'm starting that actually right now. So I'm going to get this taken care of, get my ribs set up, and I'll show you what I'll do next. Okay, my friends, so now here is the time when I would use actual paper towels. And I've actually had that roll quite amazingly for over a month since I started changing how I use my paper towels. So, and right now I'm just taking the moisture, the excess moisture off of my ribs, so that I can get my ingredients to adhere to it. I did rinse this, so now I'm just kind of drying it off. Alright, now I am going to apply, I know I have dry mustard in my seasonings, but I'm actually going to apply a mustard base. To me, it leaves it kind of tender. I'm not sure if it's due because the vinegar inside of it or what, but so I am going to be adding, this is where you can do either or. You can use a regular yellow mustard if you want. I am going to be using a Dijon mustard. I think it gives it a better flavor, but not just any. Naturally, I'm going to use my homemade. So I'm going to put a dollop on each one of these. I cut them in half because I got to make these fit in my air fryer, so I had to cut it down. And I'm going to take and I'm going to just rub each one of these pieces here with my mustard. I don't know what it is, but I have definitely done this before. I've even done this with pulled pork and this Dijon mustard, and it just leaves a really, really nice flavor to it. I'm just going to coat this really well. And I am definitely going to make sure that I have some more of this Dijon mustard on my pantry shelf, because this was really amazing. Okay, so now I'm going to rinse my gloves off, because now comes sprinkling on the seasonings. Alright, I'll wipe these down, and we're going to sprinkle on our seasonings. Going to make a nice coating on each side of these ribs. Pat this in here really good. Oh, if you can smell this already. Ooh. Like I said, it's not that I don't eat pork. I just decided there are some meats I am deciding to back off a lot of. Just making them an occasional. Pork is one of them, due not because it's just pork, it is due because it is a much higher fat rate, and with me having to now watch, which I will get into that, I'm having to now watch how much of this fat I eat, because I'm no longer low carb. Oh, that's going to be nice. That's a nice crust base to this. I'm going to make sure I get all my sides coated here. Oh, hubby's going to like this for sure. It's got a beautiful, beautiful scent to this too. A nice barbecue scent. Alright, y'all. And so now we are coated. Now I'm going to cover this, and I'm going to put this in the refrigerator for now and let this sit for about a half hour to an hour before I put it in the air fryer tonight. So I'm just going to move this over just a little bit. I'm going to actually take this covering here and fold it over. Now I'm going to pop this in the refrigerator. So give me a minute and we'll be right back. Okay, so they are now in the refrigerator marinating. We still actually, I didn't use that whole thing. For that one long strip of baby backs, I still have enough to do another one. And actually my husband has another one of those ribs, same size, in the freezer. So that's going to give me just enough to go ahead and coat that one as well. So I can get 2 out of this. So that one serving or one making of the seasoning was really good. You can get more than one. And if you actually have a big pork roast or whatever, you can, if you wanted to, use the whole thing. But that does make quite a bit, just so you know. So what I'm going to serve with this, I actually did some garden fresh picking. I have some homemade, or well, homegrown green beans again. So this time, I think I'm going to French cut these and steam them. And then I am going to be making somewhat like a caprese salad, which is, I guess, somewhat of one. I'm going to be using feta cheese. My husband is going to be using mozzarella. I'll have some tomato slices, probably some cucumbers, drizzled it with olive oil, sprinkle it with balsamic vinegar, and call that salad. So that's what we're going to do. I have, and like I said, I'm going to try the air frying of these. I've never done that before. I will promise you to be in the kitchen with you again. I have to try to work things out here. Lately, I'm getting a lot, when I'm even making my videos, I get a lot of people who want to text me and stuff, and this is really hard. So I'm going to figure out a system where I can work this so I can keep up with my YouTubes, because to me, y'all, this is extremely important. You are very important. And the topic I have today is something I wish I could have known, but I had to find out for myself. I had to work it out, and what I'm working out, I'm going to share with you. There is a ton of information on YouTube, online, of every which way but loose on how to do every diet you can absolutely think of. The only difference is I am a natural human being. I have nothing to sell you. I have nothing to give away to you. Basically, I have pure life's experience with you in every direction that we have been. So I have no gimmicks, y'all. I am straight up forward because I am living this right now. So I'm not going to be some doctor who wears a coat and says this is what you need to do and this is how it does. No, y'all, I'm going to give you my experience. I'll ask you, are you going through this? I will find out how things are working with you. And I will maybe give you some heads up to something you might consider. So, 3 months ago, I think it was about the last 2 weeks of March, around the 22nd mark, 20 or 22nd marks, we went to the doctor. It was then that I weighed 158 pounds after losing the weight of being 210. The reason I did that was because I rode this with my husband on getting on board and getting his type 2 diabetes under control, because it was way out of control. He was 9.7 A1C. He was 243 pounds. Between the two of us, we have lost nearly 100 pounds. And at that point, I was told, now back then my husband was 196 and I was 158. I'm 5'11" and I was told stop losing weight. I clearly understood that. Now here's where I became scared, because when you, and I know I'm not the only one going through this, I know that feeling inside of you. It's that feeling is, I work so hard, I'm doing this now, I'm where I'm at, I don't want to gain this back. And that's exactly where I'm at right now. I don't want to be the person I used to be. But the reality of it, I didn't know how to maintain. That became terrifying. It's the now what. Now, I did go researching on how to do this. I knew I wanted to do the Mediterranean diet because I knew it was so much healthier for me. The part about low carb that I didn't know, I definitely knew that, okay, people lose weight from it. But let me tell you, I've tried every fad diet there ever was. Well, at least mediocrely, let's be honest, and nothing worked. To my surprise, low carb actually worked. It worked so well, it baffled me. I lost so much weight fairly quickly, but there became problems with doing it very quickly as well. Number one, I started having excessive amounts of sagging skin. Reason for that, my body could not keep up with the weight loss that was going on. So I now have extra skin that I'm having non-elasticity on top of my age, and I get that. But this happens to anybody in any age. If you lose weight that quickly, and frankly, I didn't have to do anything. I just ate a low carb meal, did my everyday life. I didn't even have to exercise. This blew my ever-loving mind. It's like, how can this happen? But it did. It honestly did. And I was like, well, this is super cool. What I didn't understand and what was never described to me is I put my body through some major shock. Not just me, but my husband. We both put our body through major shock and in somewhat distress. Now, I am definitely not deterring anybody from low carb, because I'm going to tell you, I absolutely would do this all over again. But if I did, I would do this slightly different. Now, that is only, however, for those who don't have restrictions like me. If you are on low carb just to lose weight, I'm going to actually tell you something I wished I would have done first if I would have known better. But those who are diabetic, you absolutely cannot do this, and I totally get it. But I do have a way for you to maintain your weight as well. Now, for those who are like me, who don't have any of the limitations, and all you're wanting to do is lose the weight, I absolutely did. I took a chance by doing this. The stress I went through, I did end up losing some of my hair. The weight came off so fast, my body could not keep up with its shrinking ability. So here today, y'all, I had to join a gym because I have work on my body. For the first time in my life, I joined a gym and I have to exercise. And I feel better for doing so. But I was not warned about this. I actually have to exercise because I lost that weight so quickly. There was another thing about that as well. And so in the process of trying to figure this out, now how, I know I had to incorporate carbs because now I have to maintain. And I honestly didn't know how to do that. I did describe to you a little bit as far as I need to take my carbs and I can incorporate them, but I'm doing it moderately. Basically, I will choose 3 days in the week where I will eat a piece of bread, or I will incorporate a potato at a certain amount. Now I have portion control on my carbs. Now I will tell you, it was very terrifying because one thing about losing weight that quick, you can also gain it just as fast. And I have gained 6 pounds. I am now from 158 to 165. However, I am maintaining 165 for 3 months now. I'm happy with that. I have not gained any more than that. I feel still much better. I am working out. I do incorporate carbs. But if I had to do this again, I would do this totally different for me. I think what I would have done, and this is what I will advise anybody who wants to be in my shoes. I will tell you absolutely, yes, low carbs absolutely work, and you will, your body will lose that weight like butter. But in the sense of it, you really don't want to do that to your body either. If I'd have known then what I know now, I would have definitely changed this. Now for me, I would have probably started cutting my carbs from, well, let's face it, I was eating a ton. I had to be eating hundreds of grams of carbs a day, to be honest. I mean, I was taking and mixing macaroni and cheese with mashed potatoes in a meal, and then maybe adding some dinner rolls. You know, to be honest with you, I may have been incorporating in one meal, or at least in one whole day, at least 1,000 grams of carbs. The best thing for me I've done is choose a certain amount of those carbs and cut them down. So, in other words, maybe I could have had a meal if I wanted to choose my carb. I could have had a baked potato, maybe my steak, and a side salad. That would have been a good way to slow down my carbs. Instead, what I end up doing is I did the same thing that was meant for my husband. As a diabetic, he was at a good ratio between, I think it was 50 to 80. That's what he's on still to this day, 50 to 80 grams of carbs a day. diabetic, that is absolutely necessity to keep them off of medication and the very certain amounts. Now, I will tell those who are diabetic, I'm getting to that point, how you can maintain after you've reached your weight loss and be able to keep yourself off of medication. So I will get there in a minute. But still, I'm on this area with those of us who are just losing weight. Start with basically cutting your sugar. Sugar is a carb. Sugar is bad. Sugar turns straight to fat. Carbs is a sugar. But start with stopping your sugar and using a sugar substitute. That is one of the first things I should have done. Another one I could have done was cut out all sodas. That's another good start. Start off with your sugar bases. Start cutting them. What I would have secondly done is I probably would have kept some of those carbs. I could have had here's an instance, a piece of sausage, 2 eggs, and a piece of whole wheat toast. Okay, now that was incorporating some of my carbs. I could have took the thousands of carbs that I was eating in a day and at least dropped it down to 100. I still would have lost the weight, but slower. So if I had to do this, honestly, if I had to do this again, that's the move I would have made. I would have decreased my carbs in a slower manner, not to shock my body. Because today, now I have to incorporate my carbs, and I have to be very, very careful not to gain all that weight back. And I have to work slightly harder because I did not transition my body slowly. That is the best way to do this. So now today, how I do this. I will incorporate my pita with maybe some hummus. Now, incorporating beans is a carb, absolutely, but I would have taken, those are my complex carbs. So with my complex carbs, they break down slower. Now, I can make a fattoush salad and add some pita chips to it. However, those type of simple carbs, I try to limit to at least 3 times in a week. I still enjoy that carb, but I want to be able to have no more than 100 grams of carbs for that for the whole day, basically. Sorry, I had an itch. Ooh. So, I have upped my carbs from 50 to 80 to at least 100, maybe 150. However, I do work out. Exercise is another one of my key, and my portion control, because now I am incorporating my carbs. Because of the fact is, low carb, we were burning fat by eating fat. Well, at this rate for me, going completely Mediterranean, I would have to watch my fat content because I can gain all this weight back very carefully, very quickly, matter of fact. So I even have to watch that. So I keep, just like I was telling you about the pork, it is a very fatty meat. So I would have to incorporate basically the rest of my meal in a low-fat way, which means I'm going to up my vegetables so that I can eat that rib. I keep low-fat chicken. I'll eat fish. I will eat red meat very, very seldomly anymore because of the fat content. So I have to watch my fats. Not only due to the fact that it can gain weight on me very quickly, but also the fact is I have high cholesterol. So they tell me. There's controversy about that. I'm not going to get into it. But I'm kind of skeptical, we'll just say right now. But for my own sake of my weight control, I do want to watch how much of the fat I'm also adding along with the carbs that I'm now incorporating. I don't want to put my body into this blow up. Now, do I gain water weight back? Yes, I absolutely do. I will roller coaster sometimes. My weight will go, mainly it stays at 165, and I will go up and down in ounces. Occasionally, depending what I ate for that day, I have seen my weight go to 167 and in a day or two drop down. So that is water gain. So I fluctuate up and down just like I did when I was on low carb. Now, for those who have to be on low carb to maintain your blood sugar, here is what we found for my husband. He is now he did hit a plateau, y'all, but eventually he did drop down a little more, and it's not so much. He is also working out at the gym, so he is actually burning calories. He stayed in this plateau of 196 for the longest time. He's down to 190. So exercise not only helped him lose the weight, but it's also helped control his diabetes at the same time. Don't ask me how this is working, but it absolutely is working on top of the diet. Now, if you get to the point where you start losing too much weight and you know you have to maintain, but you can't incorporate those carbs, you're going to have to up your calories. So those calorie intakes is what's going to help you be able to maintain, because we all know that you can't have these carbs. It will spike your sugar, and that's the last thing you want to do. So you're going to have to up your calories. And I kind of wish it was that simple for us, but it's not. But that's the best way that we found for maintaining him, is just upping his calories, and so far he's doing quite well. So if I had somebody to help me through this, and I'm going to tell you, I'm still working through it, y'all. This is information I found. There's so much the information I'm finding, honestly, is there's always this drawback of, in the links below I will give you my book, or in the links below I will give you my meal planning, or in the links below. Y'all, number one, I can't afford some of these courses that they're offering. Number two, there is so much information out there. How do I know what is right, what is wrong? I am not in the position to be experimenting with my body, as I've already done, and put it through more shock, and then end up having so much chaos that my body decides to quit on me and says, you know, I've had enough. I work too hard to be where I'm at. So I'm going to tell you my experiences, what I'm actually doing. It's working so far, and I really hope it stays working, but I have to work harder. And I do have to work out. Now, you do not have to join a gym. I joined the gym because it was something that I wanted to do. You can work at home, y'all. You don't have to have a gym membership. There is plenty of exercises online that you can go by a pattern to do if you wanted to. The reason I joined a gym, honestly, is because I put my body through so much stress and so much shock, losing all that weight so quickly, plus the fact that I had a major injury to my stomach. I joined the gym to try to tone this, and this is going to take time. It took me 22 years. I was a big woman. It took me 22 years to get there. It took me 6 months to lose it all. And it's going to take me time. As much as it took me to get there, it's going to take me time to readjust my body. And it's a poor little thing. I kind of feel sorry for it. I put it through this. I do not regret it to some point, but again, like I told you, if I had to do this all over again, I would do the slow decrease. I would much rather lose my weight slowly than super fast like I did. But I also understand, for a diabetic, you honestly have no choice. This is the best method that we have found to be able to control type 2 diabetes than any miracle thing that was ever put out there. To decrease your carbs is the best thing that ever happened to my husband, and he is absolutely able to eat well, yet stay off medication. So it's a hit or miss here. For those who are diabetic, that was the best way to go. But for those of us who just want to lose weight, if you have the opportunity to make it slow down better, I would choose that you really don't want to put your body through this. You honestly don't. It was hard for me, y'all. Extremely hard for me. So, and maybe some people can handle it quite well. I know a lot of people that do. But to me, it was kind of hard. And I know it can be hard for other people. And in return, what ends up happening when it becomes that hard, people are going to bail ship. They're not going to do this no more because they don't feel good. They don't like the side effects of what has happened. And frankly, they're tired. I totally get that. There were so many times if I weren't supporting my husband, I wanted to jump that ship and said, you know what? I'm going to go eat me a burger with a bun. But I didn't. I stuck with this. And I believe I stuck with this as a learning curve. Stuck with this, and it taught me many, many things. Through this, not only could I have decreased my carbs, but I could have started what I'm doing right now is increased better food options. Start paying attention to what I was eating. And I honestly enjoy the Mediterranean. I am able to hold my maintaining weight, even adding carbs, but most important thing right now by me eating on the Mediterranean diet is I feel so much stronger, so much healthier, and I don't feel like I want to bail ship. I feel good. I have my days just like everybody else. Some days I'm tired. I mean, what have I done for the day? Have I overworked myself? It happens to everybody. It isn't because of the diet. And this is not a diet for me. This is a lifestyle. So basically, this is something I can live with. I can be happy with it, and I am not stressed out. My husband, I'm incorporating Mediterranean with him as well to boost his, to boost his nutrition. Because I knew what was happening to me is absolutely got to be happening to him. So I've been using safe vegetables to add to his diet and still keeping his carbs the way it should be. So incorporating the vegetables, look, we never did, and I told you before, I down nobody. You do what's good for you and your body. You do what you are perfectly happy with. We never went full keto, y'all. We never went to less than 20 or 20 grams of carbs a day. We stayed low carb. We did incorporate beans. We did incorporate vegetables, just not enough. So we are now incorporating more. My husband is now adding leaner meats, and this helps him also with kind of maintaining a healthy weight for him as well. So we are finding now the balance for him. He's, like I said, he is now at 190 from 243 pounds. We are both working out. We are changing things. And I made this video because I got to thinking about you. How many of you are out there finding, now what? What do I do? How do I do this? I'm actually tired of doing this anymore. I'm jumping off. And what most people will end up doing, you'll go back to your old lifestyle because you just couldn't do it. I honestly get that because that's exactly what I wanted to do. But when I looked in the mirror and saw how much I had lost, when I looked in the mirror and asked myself, do you really want to do that? My answer was no. I wanted to find a safer way to be able to do what was good for my body, for my health, and for me. So I'm hoping this video helps you. I do have some more meal planning that I will be doing. I have actually, in the next couple days, my husband smoked a beautiful salmon for me, and I'm going to be pulling that out and doing a meal prep in a Mediterranean egg white smoked salmon breakfast. It's absolutely amazing. So we're going to be working on that together. I do have some other meals I'm going to incorporate with you for those who are watching your diet, whether it's for losing weight or whether it's for maintaining your sugar. These meals are very healthy. Well, healthy in a sense. Okay, pork ribs, maybe not so healthy, but it's in a way that you can moderate how much of it you eat. And I am doing air fryer as well. So the fat from that rib basically won't be sitting there. So these are just a few things that I am going to do. I'm going to continue to keep doing this, see how well I maintain. So far, 3 months, holding the same weight and only gaining 6 pounds. I'm going to take that, y'all, because I feel so much better. And at 5'11" and 165, I am very, very happy with that. So I am hoping this helps you. I love you, each and every one of you, dearly. And if you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask me in the comments below. I try to get back to you as much as I possibly can. So until next time, much love from Parton's Heritage Homestead.